I started learning about building with cob after I discovered the terrible effects of indoor air pollution on our health by living in our toxic industrial-built homes of today. I started researching natural building methods that use only natural materials to build homes and other buildings with, instead of using factory-built pieces and synthetic materials. I quickly discovered cob and its many advantages and its flexibility for building homes with, and I became really interested in the building process and started reading books on the subject. I remember when I told my dad about how I was learning to build homes out of earth and mud, and he gave me a strange, bored look, and again probably thought I was crazy. He just told me about how he lived in a mud hut in Africa for 2 years in a third world country, and that it wasn't nice at all. He obviously didn't know what I was talking about. I wasn't interested in building dirt huts like he thought. Cob is a very versatile material consisting of clay, sand, and straw. It's very malleable and can be formed to almost any shape you want. Here are some of the great advantages of building with cob. First of all, it's relatively inexpensive, as most of the resources can be locally found and are natural. The resources are abundant and can be found most of the time right beneath your feet. The constructions are energy efficient, using passive solar heating. They're owner built and involve the community. They're better for your health by eliminating toxic off-gassing and air pollution. They're long-lasting. They can last up to even hundreds of years. And there's flexibility, room for creativity in construction. They're virtually fireproof, termite-proof, and they have strong earthquake resistance.
This is the UBC Earthquake Engineering Laboratory, and they're doing a test right now. This is they're recording data actually from the sensors that are on the roof, different forces. And this earthquake that they're putting it through right now is actually about magnitude 7.2 on the Richter scale, and it was a quake that happened in the Mojave Desert in California. Just for some reference, the big one that they're expecting here in Vancouver is going to be about a 9. So this one here is about 7. It's a little shallower and closer to the surface, so it's a bit different than what we can expect out here. But it gives us a bit of an idea how cob might perform under a similar sort of thing. Yeah. You can see there's a whole bunch of people here that have helped build the model for us, and they really were interested to see how it was going to perform. Everyone's put a lot of themselves into this. There's also the gentleman in the purple shirt. That's Dr. Carlos Ventura of UBC Civil Engineering, and he's graciously donated the lab and his time and all of his staff for this, so we're really, really appreciative of that.
I'm going to switch now to a different type of earthquake that is going to shake the house more severely. That's about 2 Gs of acceleration there.
2 G, is that typical of quakes?
That's a very extreme level of shaking. We have seen 2 Gs in certain earthquakes, so it's not unusual to see that, but very extreme, right? And are we going to see 2 Gs here in BC? Very unlikely. It's possible, but very unlikely.
Pretty severe. Yeah.
That's why we run the first earthquake, which is a more likely earthquake to happen.
Wow, so that was pretty encouraging. That was pretty extreme shaking that it withstood, so that's good to see. Yeah.
I see natural building, especially using cob, as a practical solution for our future situation. As we face societal collapse, people are banding together and moving outside the cities to start new lives for themselves. Lots of people can get a piece of land, but they can't always afford a house to live in. And lots of people resort to living in trailers to start off, or they go and spend all their money to hire somebody to build an industrial-built home for them. We need to start learning how to build our own homes again, a lot like the frontiersmen used to do. Just because we build our own homes and use natural materials, though, does not mean we'll have to live in low-grade, uncomfortable homes. On the contrary, we can actually live more comfortably and have much nicer homes if we can truly educate ourselves on these natural construction methods like cob.
most people on the planet have always and still do build their own homes with natural materials. There's some of us who are used to an industrial consumer context where that's not true. I think that that's a temporary situation, and I think that the situation in which heavily processed, highly industrialized, very energy-intensive materials are available relatively inexpensively, that situation is going to change. As energy becomes more expensive, as materials become more expensive, it's going to just make simple economic sense for people to be building with clay and straw.
Looking at what's about to come down the pike in the near future, Cobb and natural building techniques offer a great solution. Industrial-made consumer resources won't be available like they are today. We can't expect to have them after our economy bottoms out. I'm starting to learn how to use natural materials we have around us and under our feet to replace our current methods of building. Even if we could continue the way we are and have all the same consumer materials available, I would still be building with natural materials. I believe if done right, the advantages far outweigh any negatives. I think this is a great solution for post-collapse, but I'm not going to wait until it's happened for me to get started. That's why I'm learning to build like this now. If you're just getting started learning about Cobb, then I highly recommend you read the book called The Hand-Built House by Ianto Evans. It's the main authority book on building with Cobb and provides all the details you'll need to get started.
I'm certainly not advocating tossing out everything that's developed in the last few hundred years and going back to living exactly like our ancestors did. But the basic techniques for how to build walls, how to build floors, how to build roofs, using simple, environmentally benign, healthy, available natural materials, those are the same techniques that people have been using for millennia. And my strong suspicion is that those are going to continue to be the normal building techniques for thousands of years to come.